Okay, so the world tends to think of the 12 days of Christmas, that which comes before it. In reality, it's what comes after. The 12 days of Christmas is the 12 days which follow, starting Christmas, and end with the Feast of the Epiphany, which we observe today. Technically speaking, it was yesterday. Now, of course, we had the slight possibility of snow in Jacksonville, which, of course, in Jacksonville means it's the end of the world. Which meant that our service, which we planned for Wednesday, was, of course, canceled along with all of the city services being shut down, because that's what happens in the city here when we get the possibility of snow. So today we're observing the Epiphany. And that is that feast where the church remembers that the Lord, who was the Messiah to the Jews, was revealed to the Gentiles, for which we all should be grateful, since none of us are Jewish. I don't know about any of you, well, I do know most of you, and as far as I know, none of you are Jewish. None of you have any Jewish heritage that I know of, right? So we should all be eternally grateful that the Lord was revealed to the Gentiles, because without that, none of us would have a part in this, right? Amen. So on this day, we remember that there were Gentiles way off in the east who saw a star. And curiously enough, this puts them in that realm of something that we might call astrologers. They looked up at the star and they did something along the lines that they said, hey, that's like the King's Star, and it's in the constellation of the Kings, and it's in the Lion, and wow, that's really profound. That means that somebody really incredible has been born. We should go and follow that. That's some really pagan stuff. Nevertheless, they followed that star, and they got to Jerusalem, and they said, hey, where's the King of the Jews? Now, I have a great theory about this. It's not mine by any stretch of the imagination, but I have a feeling that these were descendants, spiritually speaking, academically speaking, of Daniel, that as Daniel had been taken off into exile and had been in Babylon and Persia, and had been one of the leading officials in those empires, that he had trained many disciples, and he had imparted much of his wisdom, and that there were people who were still looking for the Messiah, even if they were not Jewish. They were people who had been trained in Judaism, and they knew that there was going to be born a Messiah. And so they came there and they said, hey, we're looking for the Messiah. And Herod, the king of the Jews, who you'd think would have some wisdom about this, knew nothing. So he calls his people and says, hey, where's the King of the Jews supposed to be born? And they look up the scriptures and they find he's supposed to be born in Bethlehem. And he goes and he says, hey, when was this star, when did the star appear? Oh, it was about a year and a half ago. Now, this is where the majority of the manger scenes and a great many of the movies get it all wrong. Okay? If you haven't heard this before, I'm about to ruin your childhood. The Magi did not show up the night Jesus was born. I know, gasp. Childhood ruined, I'm sorry. Listen carefully. Matthew 2, verse 1. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. Okay? And we skip down and we go to, let's say, verse 9. No, verse 11. When they came to the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother. That's not a baby, that's a young child. It's been quite a while. It's been about a year and a half. Okay? Remember, in the next couple verses, Herod, when he realizes the Magi have gone home, he sends guards into Bethlehem and he kills all of the children of appropriate age, and those are 2 years old and younger. Okay? So if this had happened like 2 days ago, there would be no reason to kill anyone under the age of 2. Okay? So, Jesus at this point was a year and a half, 2 years old. Now, there are some things to realize here. This is an epiphany. This is a revelation. This is that moment when the light bulb goes off over someone's head. These wise men from afar, these astrologers, these pagans, suddenly realized that this was the Messiah, the anointed one, the long-awaited one, the prophesied one. How long-awaited? Well, he'd been prophesied for over 700 years. If we go back to the Isaiah passage, listen to this. Isaiah 60, verse 5. Then you shall see and become radiant. Your heart shall swell with joy, because the abundance of the sea shall be turned to you. The wealth of the Gentiles shall come to you. Multitudes of camels shall cover your land. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, and those of Sheba shall come to you. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall proclaim the praises of the Lord. Now, if we go back to Matthew, we see that these wise men, they bring gold and incense, and they bow down and they worship the child. Now, this passage from Isaiah happened 700 years before the birth of Christ. Now, that's just one thing that we can sort of nail down to a particular time. We know that there were prophecies about the coming of the Messiah from dawn of creation. See, that's an interesting thing about this revelation, about this epiphany, this manifestation. Let's look at the beginning of this prophecy. This is beautiful language, by the way. I want to go to a different rendering of it. This is from the Book of Common Prayer. It says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has dawned upon you. For behold, darkness covers the land, and deep gloom enshrouds the peoples. But over you the Lord will arise, and his glory will appear upon you." Now, as I think of that, I think of sunrise. I think of going to the beach in the darkness and watching the sun come up. I don't know if you've ever been to a sunrise service, or if you've been somewhere and watched the sun come up. It's funny how dark it is right before the dawn, and how dark and gloomy and despairing everything seems. And then the sun comes up, and everything seems to get covered in this sort of pale glow. And then you can see everything. And then it's like everything is revealed. And you can see the details and the nuances and the particulars of everything around you. But the interesting thing is that between the darkness and the revelation, nothing around you has changed. The trees, the bushes, the brambles, none of that has changed. It's all exactly the same as it was in the moments before the sun came up. Right? The only thing that's changed is that you see it now. If you're lost in the woods in the dark, and the sun comes up and you see the path was always there. didn't know where it was. Right?
Yeah.
And so it is with the Lord. The Lord is always here for us. We just don't always perceive him. We've talked about this before. People come in and they're like, man, I just want to have an encounter with the Lord. Man, I just want to be in a church where Jesus shows up. Like he's not here? Like we have to do some rain dance and hope Jesus shows up? He's omnipresent. God is in all places. 2,000 years ago, they thought he lived in the temple. That's not the case. Heck, he lives in our hearts, right?
Amen.
We carry him with us. Our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. We don't have to go someplace and hope Jesus shows up. He's there. We need to make him known. We need to make him seen. Deep gloom enshrouds the people. But he will make himself known. How is he going to make himself known? Through us.
Amen.
He's going to make himself known through us. See, the world is in that pre-dawn phase right now. Okay? The world is in that pre-dawn phase right now. And the world is stumbling around in the darkness, tripping over itself. And our job right now, our call, is to make him known. To be that light that shines in the darkness.
Amen.
To show that the darkness can't overcome the light. To show this world that is lost and dying that there is a light. Over you the Lord will rise, and his glory will appear upon you. Nations will stream to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Now, we don't want people to bow down and worship us. We want people to bow down and worship him. It's our job to point the way to him. It's our job to be those vessels that point to him. It's our job to be those workers who show his light so that we can make him known. So that people see that light and find their way home. Because it's only in him that we ever truly find our rest.
Amen.
And our home.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Hey, this is Father Scott Looker with Church of Messiah. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed it and you got something out of it, please click the like button below. And also, you can click the subscribe button to get notifications in your inbox when we post other videos in the future. You can click the little bell below and you'll get notifications also. So do that, and we'd appreciate it. So thanks. God bless you. We appreciate it. Pray for us, and we'll be praying for you. God bless you.